Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Be.She podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And do I have a special guest for you today? She is not only an amazing transformational coach, but she's also a dear friend. We met in a leadership when we were coaching leadership together, and I'm so grateful to have her in my life and grateful to have her here today. So let me introduce you to Alexandra Deubner. Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm so great. I'm so happy to be here with you, Heidi. I love it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining me, and we're going to have some fun today. So before we dive in, though, Alex, and I call her Alex, so and you can call her Alex too, because I'm going to tell you to reach out to her because she's pretty amazing. I really would like to introduce you to everyone. Alex, is that okay?
Definitely, please.
Right. Well, Alex is a career success and personal leadership coach with many years of work experience in coaching, headhunting, HR, trainings, and consulting. She has a master's degree in international business and an MSc in coaching, amongst others, and is currently working both as a private transformational coach and as a lecturer and career coach at an American private university in Austria. She is a wife and mom of an amazing daughter and is super passionate about supporting others to dream big, dare greatly, I love this, and create a life, career, and business they truly love. Alex believes that there's an incredible potential within all of us and that we can achieve amazing things with the right strategies, a powerful mindset, and the right support. Incredible, Alex. So as I'm talking to entrepreneurs, in this podcast, I interview other female entrepreneurs because the goal is to inspire women to step into their next level and get uncomfortable with being seen and being heard, because I find that's one of the many challenges that women face. So many entrepreneurs I speak to have either started their business due to a transformation they moved through themselves or by helping others do so. Which one was it for you? And can you share your story?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Heidi. Yes, definitely it was the first one. So I never really knew what I wanted to become. Everyone around me knew what they wanted to do, kind of. It felt like that. And I never knew it. And I was looking for the wrong clues. And I was always the most helpful. When I spent, after high school, I spent 1 year in California, and I was elected most helpful from more than 100 students. And it felt so natural because that's my thing. I love to help others. But I never saw that as something special. I always thought it needs to be difficult, it needs to be hard. And so actually when I graduated from high school, my father said, Alex, what do you want to do? You can study whatever you want. I will support you. And I said, psychology. And he said, anything but that. They are all crazy. So then I went actually this 1 year to the US, and then I started studying actually veterinary medicine for a year because I love animals. I then realized I love animals, but not medicine. And then I started studying business, and I was struggling. There were many things that I loved about the business part, also the languages and so on, but I still felt lost. And it took me really a long time to figure out what I wanted. And there were moments when I thought I would give up, but thankfully I didn't. And then at one point I was in a company where I had a boss who unfortunately was very choleric. So she always, chose somebody to pick up upon. And at one point, unfortunately, it was me. But I'm really grateful to her because she, I had 1 year where I really was close to burnout, and I felt like I had a heart attack. I was even in the heart ambulance because I really thought I had a heart attack. And the doctors, they said, no, actually, you're healthy, kind of, at least your heart is healthy. And then another doctor said, you're close to burnout, what's going on? And so it was the moment of revelation for me that my boss, who actually kind of through her, I almost got this heart attack, right? But at the same time, she said, I think you don't belong into our department, HR department. Here's a coach. She will show you that you don't belong. And the cool thing is, really, I went through 1 year of despair. And then after this first session with the coach, I already saw that there's a solution possible. Like there was this light at the end of the tunnel, and it wasn't the train. It was the possibility that something will shift. And that was where the grain was, the seed was put into action, that I thought, wow, coaching, that could be something. And it took me another several years. I then started studying actually also coaching. But again, it took me several more years to actually dare to get the license, because in Austria, you need a license to become a coach. And so there was lots of mindset, like, can I do this? Like, what? That's why I also love your topic so much, right? We get to be seen, we get to follow our passion. And that's why I'm so passionate about that. And I remember when I finally got my license, one of my best friends didn't congratulate me. The only thing she said was, finally. And so, because she was like, you were so ready already years ago, right? And so I also want to use this chance here to share with everyone that, yes, if you have your gifts, and I think we all have our gifts, and it can be easy, right? It's like what feels natural, that just to follow that and really block out whatever limiting thoughts you have in your head, because 99% are not true and probably will never happen, and to really go for it, because I see now what it's like on the other side. Yeah. And it's much more beautiful when you actually follow your gifts and you do what really feels right for you. Yeah.
Oh, so good, Alex. You shared so much there, and I want to break this what you just shared down. One, I love that your dad was super supportive. Like, he was just like, no matter what, go for it, just not psychology. I'll support you 100%, which that's funny and awesome at the same time. Two, that we have something in common that I never knew about you. So I just learned something new. We both went to school for veterinary medicine. And
really, you too?
Yeah, because I loved animals. And I actually worked in some veterinary offices, and I went to a specific college just because that was where my path was. And within the first year, I knew the same thing. I'm like, no, I get to love the animals and have as many as I want, but not get to treat them. So yeah, I love that you shared that. So thank you. I learned something new.
Cool, me too.
And you talked about limiting beliefs and not overwhelm. What was the word you shared? Burnout, which many women feel. I went through burnout in my business where I had to take a step back. So let's dive into that, if you don't mind. What are some one tip or something you can share that can move a woman out of burnout? Because just like you shared your mom, your wife, and we talked behind the scenes. Now you want to bring a puppy into your world, and you work in the academic space at a university, and you also coach your clients. How do you navigate into your world to not go back into burnout again? What are some things you can share for women who are also juggling all the things?
Great question, Heidi. So first and foremost, it's always, particularly for us women, right? We tend to forget about ourselves. We put everyone else first, and it's just literally, right, the oxygen mask on a plane, right? We get to put it on ourselves first before we put it on somebody else. So that was a big learning, and I still struggle with that at times, but I'm getting much better to set boundaries. So that would be my biggest tip, that the women who listen or watch this, right, that they become aware that they are super important. Each and every one of us is super important, and we get to fill our cup first before we can fill into everyone else, the family, kids, husbands, wives, whatever, partners, friends, our clients. If we are near or close to burnout or in burnout, we won't be able to support anyone. So it's really actually very egoistic not to take care of ourselves. So that's how I shifted this, right? It's super egoistic if I don't sleep enough, if I don't drink enough water, if I don't take care of myself, because everyone around me will suffer. So I think that's already one of my biggest game changers. So really self-care and setting boundaries. And also being off social media at times, right? So that I, like, the first 1 or 2 hours in the morning, I don't interact in any way, right? Like, I focus on my family, I focus on myself, and the same with the last 1 or 2 hours of the day, usually, yeah. And so these are some of my biggest tips. I'm happy to share more, but that was a game changer. And the thing is also, like, when we are in burnout, it's too late. We will lose so much time. So it's really imperative that we take care of ourselves before we slip down the slippery slope, because it's really hard, as you know, right, to get back. And I also had that during my studies once. I really had panic attacks, and I felt like I was going crazy. And thankfully, I had a really dear friend who took care of me also, because I was afraid to go out on the street at some point, because I thought I would get a panic attack and maybe faint. And also being aware that what we feel, we are not crazy. It's just our body trying to give us, to show us that something is off, that we get to shift something. And so our bodies give us beautiful lessons, and we just get to listen, but in a loving way, right? Without beating ourselves up or so, but really being kind to ourselves, and learning to see ourselves like we would our best friend.
Yeah, you just sharing that about best friend just made me think about how do we treat others is how we should treat ourselves, because we'll usually treat others better than we'll treat ourselves, right?
Exactly.
So really
Absolutely.
flipping that, not treating others badly, but really putting ourselves first. And like, it's not selfish. Like you said, it's not selfish to take care of ourselves. It's actually selfish if we don't, because then we can't be there for the people who are around us. And it doesn't do well if we're in burnout and we're having anxiety attacks and we're not, and we get sick. We're not then there to be able to be there for our people, for the people who love us and need us the most. So thank you for that. And so what are some self-care tips that you do for yourself to make sure you are being one, you're putting yourself as a priority to avoid burnout? Because I love that you said once we're in burnout, it's too late. So what are some things that you do for yourself that maybe others are like, oh, I could do that for me?
I know that you know, because we were kind of in a challenge together. So I love that, Heidi. And yes, so I mean, for me, always the number one thing is enough sleep. So no, I don't function well if I don't get enough sleep. So for me, that's at least 7 hours. Yeah, 8 is great, but 7 is the minimum over, a couple of days. So getting enough sleep, because then otherwise I won't function. So really making sure that I have that. And then also, putting in, like, meditation is for me imperative. I've started doing meditations regularly for several years now. And it has been a game changer, because I also realize much quicker the crap I'm telling myself when I do this, when I focus and become aware. And so that's also, and I do this sometimes in between when I feel like I'm overwhelmed. I just pause. And sometimes I just put my hands on my heart and just, breathe in for a minute. Yeah. And just focus on not only breathe in for a minute, I also breathe out, but, but, focus on my breathing. And that already usually calms me. So that's something else. And then I definitely always do some gratefulness exercises on a regular basis, and any form of exercise. So for me, it's yoga. It's going for a swim. During the vacation, I love to go swimming in the sea or in a lake. That's my happy place. Yeah. Or going for a run, any kind of movement. So also, if people are listening now, they're maybe not that fit, going for a walk, just getting out for 10, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be that much. So that's what I always tell my clients. And I have several clients who are also close to burnout or have some work-life balance issues. And I always say it doesn't need to be too much, right? It can be a few minutes. Start with a few minutes and make that a habit. So for me, it's easiest to do things early in the morning, because otherwise I forget it. So it starts usually with getting enough sleep. And then when I wake up, I exercise. Like I told you, I've joined the 5 a.m. club. So I'm getting up and do exercise and journaling and meditation and a little bit of learning for the first hour. And that really has been a game changer, because no matter what happens afterwards, I have this 1 hour for me. And so that nothing, like, whatever happens, I've already done that. Yeah. And people now don't have to do that and start at 5 a.m. So if you feel like, okay, I'm crazy, it's okay if you don't do this, but find something. And I invite people to do something early in the morning, like first thing, so that you have it, under your belt and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And if you do more later, wonderful. But if not, you already have that.
Yeah, I did the 5 a.m. too. Last year it was my 5 a.m. year, and I'm moving back towards that. But just like you said, like, you do you. So for you listening, like, if you're not a 5 a.m. person, that doesn't work for you. I shifted. I was doing the 5 a.m. because my children's schedule, it was time for just me. I would wake up, 2 dogs would stay sleeping, 1 dog would come out with me. I'd make my coffee. I would do my journaling. And I had that hour, right? And I would also get some work done. I had actually, like, that gave me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to work and do my self-care. So I love that you shared that. And also, it doesn't mean that works for everybody. Right now, I get to sleep. So I start a little later. So if I don't get up early that day, I will do my gratitude later. But like you said, it's done. And for me, that's really important, because if I don't do it in the morning, it's harder for me to get it done at night. So just know you and your schedule. And like Alex shared, Alex, you didn't start this right out of the gate, your 5 a.m., joining the 5 a.m. club. You did it a little at a time. When it comes to self-care, if you're not somebody that does self-care regularly, you get to do that for sure.
Yeah.
That should be priority. And I implore you, because you'll be amazed at how your world will change and how your business will change when you actually prioritize yourself. And it gets to be maybe a minute, like you said, just even
Yes.
like just taking a breath for a minute and just being at peace and calm, then in reopening your eyes and going back to it, and then add 2 minutes the next day and 3 minutes the next day, like starting gradually. Because if you try to do 5 a.m. for an hour out of the gate and you're not one that practices, it's going to be, we don't want to set yourself up for failure, right Alex?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
start small. Anything you're doing, start with baby steps, and you'll be amazed at how fast you're going to up level everything. Your relationships also change when you prioritize yourself. It's not just business. So
Yes.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
you brought up, you talked about limiting beliefs also. So what are limiting beliefs, and how do we realize we have them, and how do we get to move past them in order to just propel ourselves forward?
Yeah, great question. So limiting beliefs are beliefs that are not serving you, that usually come from your childhood or also from whatever society, right? Any events that we very often aren't even aware of, right? But they hold us back. So it could be, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, money doesn't grow on trees, all of that, right? Like we have to work hard, it has to be difficult, right? And it's the first step, and that's where meditation comes in for me, right? Is becoming aware of these thoughts, like really becoming aware of what's holding you back, and then even journaling about it, right? Like what do I actually think, and doing this coming from a place of love. So I always say we are usually our worst critics. I definitely am my worst critic. As you said before, I would never talk to my friends the way I sometimes still talk to myself. It's getting better, but I have my moments. Yeah, I'm really honest about that. And then it's really writing that down and being kind to yourself while you write, like not limiting or censoring anything. Yeah, writing it down and then looking at what you've written and asking yourself, is this really true? Yeah. And is this serving me? So for me, that was one of the most powerful exercises. I forgot about Katie, what's her name? I can't, well, it doesn't matter. So and she wrote this book, and she said, 2 questions, ask yourself, is it true, and is it serving me? And so sometimes we don't know if something is true. Am I really not worthy? Am I really not good enough, right? If you're in a bad mood, you might think, it could be true. But is this thought serving you? Definitely not, right? So if you get at least one no, the exercise is to lovingly send this thought away and exchange it with something more positive. I am worthy, I am good enough. And then looking for proof where you actually, like you could also ask your friends, what do you like about me? What do you appreciate, right? Like looking for evidence and collecting evidence. I always say it's like you are on this superhighway, the negative superhighway, where let's say I'm not worthy or whatever you're telling yourself, and you're going there. And then suddenly when you come to this thought and you do this exercise, it's like this little stop, and you can now choose another path. But this other path, it's like there's not a highway, there's not even a street, like there's a jungle there, right? So you need to take a knife or whatever to make your way through. But the more often you go there, sooner or later it will be paved, and at one point, and that's the goal, this will become your superhighway, the one with the empowered thoughts. And then the other path will be the jungle, right, with the limiting beliefs. So it's a daily practice to work with that and to overcome your limiting beliefs one step at a time. And trust me, once you thought you have one covered, the next one shows up, but that's okay. It's lifelong learning. And and again, being kind to yourself and loving along the way.
That was so good. Yeah, and that you said another one will show up. So give yourself grace, right? Yes, another one will show up, but you can't move through them unless you start with one, right? Start at the beginning and break it down. And I liked how you shared, is it true, and is it serving me, right? And that's when you were talking about that, I'm like, that's another self-care exercise. right? That's giving yourself self-care. So just doing that exercise, you're pouring into yourself, you're getting more intimate with yourself. And I love that. You mentioned something earlier about, and I'm not going to phrase it exactly as you shared it, but when you said it, it's getting in tune with yourself and how that self-care does that. Do you find that your intuition has grown because you've been able to like take more time for you? And how has that impacted your life and your business?
Yeah, great question. So I think, and by the way, it was Katie Byron, the woman. Oh, yeah. So I think my intuition was always there, but I just didn't trust myself. So I think that's the gist of it, right? Like it was always there. And I think we all have it, but it's about trusting ourselves. So I didn't trust myself, like what I wanted or whatever, or what is important. And now that's different, right? So definitely I listen to my needs or what I want more, and I trust myself more. And that way I'm much more empowered, and I make more confident decisions, right? And I'm more courageous when I'm doing that, because no matter if I fail or not, I follow what I feel is right. And that was a game changer. Like also not being afraid. Like I hate also the expression failing, yeah, because I don't think like failing is so negative, right? But we all make mistakes, and that's okay. But just taking it step by step and not being afraid to maybe fall, but get up again, but with a, like your head held high, because you stay true to yourself, and that has to do with confidence and with trusting yourself, and knowing again that you are already enough, and that you are already amazing, no matter if you make a mistake or not, right? It's not, it's the outside, doesn't matter. You are already enough. So that was a real game changer for me, that no matter what, even if I didn't do anything anymore, even if we stopped this podcast right now and I would just sit here, I would already be enough. And so would you be, right? And with that thought, it was really like when we let it sink in, it takes also away the pressure of having to do something or whatever, and to reach some certain goals. It's always great to have goals, but it's not necessary to be amazing, and to trust ourselves, and that way also, trust our intuition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, making good decisions. That's something I think a lot of women don't trust themselves on. And it'll keep us stuck, right? It could keep us stuck in our business, because we feel like we're failing, which like I am with you. I don't like that word, because we're not failing. Even failing forward, like it's a level up. Every time we make a mistake, it's actually getting us closer to the right path, and we're our right next step. So, and you have, talking about true to yourself, you have something coming up. So can you share that with us, Alex?
I'd love to, Heidi. Thank you for asking. So yes, I'm doing another summit. It's called the True You Show Season 4. So I already had 3 seasons of the True You Show, and it's all about empowering and inspiring people to follow their dreams and to courageously create a life and career or business that we really love. And I invited over 20 magical, amazing experts. One of them is you. And I'm honored to have you on board, and you and all the others, right? You speak about, how we get empowered, what we can do, tips and tricks to really create magic. And I loved also the stories that you shared and others, how you created magic for yourself, how you created success, etc. Because I think that's what we need, right? We need role models. We need others to show us, yes, we can do this. They did it. We can do it too. And it's usually not a miracle, right? It's at times hard work, but it all starts with believing in ourselves. That's why I also love your podcast so much, Heidi, and what you are creating here. And so my goal is really to inspire people, to motivate them to get unstuck and follow their dreams and create magic and create the lives they truly love. And it starts on the 18th of September. For 3 weeks, people who sign up will get a daily email with at least one speaker to get empowered for 30 minutes each day for 21 days, so that you really start into fall with an empowered mind and a courageous heart.
Oh, I can't wait for this summit, Alex. It's going to be amazing. It is amazing because you're leading the charge. And I'm so grateful to be part of this. So please go join Alex's summit. It's going to be incredible. She has over 20 powerhouse entrepreneurs who are joining her in becoming the true you, really getting in tune with your authentic self. And I love what you're doing with this. And I was so honored to be part of it. One thing I heard from a mentor I had was, believe in yourself a little more than you don't. That's all you need. You don't have to have 100% belief in what your next step in, whatever it is going on in your personal life or even in yourself. But just if you can believe in yourself a little more than you don't, that's enough to push you through. So 51%, it doesn't have to be 100, because none of us are at 100 every day. And if we try to
I
be at
love
100
this.
every day, that also leads to burnout, and it also leads to us being hard on ourselves. So grateful that you're putting this, that you put this together. And when are the dates again? Where can they go to sign? And it is free, everyone. It is free to sign up.
Yes.
And you're going to get some, juicy, empowering knowledge and information and support each day for 30 minutes. Incredible. So where can we go to join this?
Yes, you just go to trueyoushow.com and sign up there, register there. It's free, as you said, Heidi. Also, the cool thing is not only will you get, this information and the inspiration from the speakers, but you also get freebies. So there will be, wonderful things that you can actually use, either whatever, like it's various things that you can actually use to push yourself forward, to move yourself lovingly forward, to your authentic, amazing self, and to create really the life that you truly love. And the cool thing is also that there are speakers from all over the world. So that's something that's really dear to me. Like, we can inspire the world. We have Americans, Canadians, Europeans, people from Africa, from Australia, from India. So it's like a big mixture. And that's what I love. Like, we can span the globe, and together we can rise. And that's what I really believe. If we all inspire each other, and the cool thing is also not only if we inspire each other, but if we inspire ourselves, we automatically, the ripple effect, right? If I feel a little better, everyone around me will feel better, and then they will feel better and move the needle forward around them. So we can really create a difference in the world, I believe.
Yes. Oh, I'm so grateful for you. And thank you for showing up as powerfully as you are to empower others to do the same. You are a testament of being seen, being heard, and a change that each of us can make in the world. So thank you for being such a role model and example of that, Alex, because you're a true inspiration. And I know that you've inspired women on this episode to now step up and be seen and heard so they can make their difference that they were meant to be. Because when we're hiding, we were brought here for a reason. We're here for a reason. And when we're hiding, we're not showing up in showing the world the gifts that we have. And you've just, thank you. Thank you. So I've loved this conversation. There's so many different takeaways. We could continue going on, like even just talking about making good decisions. When you shared that, I was like, I write in my gratitude journal. I try to do it every day. I don't. I give myself grace, but I'm working towards that. But I write, I'm grateful I make good decisions, because that's one thing I didn't trust myself on either. And that is in my personal life and in my business life. Many times that'll creep up. So I'll write, I'm grateful I make good decisions. And I've noticed that I'm making really good decisions lately. So that gratitude that you talked about, you practice gratefulness. It's really one of the game changers too. So thank you for so many things you shared. You talked about making it easy, because we overcomplicate things as women, as humans, we do it, but women, I think, tend to do it even more because we want perfectionism. We want everything to be perfect, and let it go. Ease and fun, right? Ease, fun, and flow.
Absolutely, 100%.
So go check out the summit. Go sign up for the summit. Go register. I'll see you there. I'll be on every day listening to these amazing experts coming in. I can't wait for this. Alex, how can we get more of the amazingness of you? Where can we find you?
You can find me on my website.
Yeah.
So if that's the thing, you can find me on my website, alexandradeubner.com. I hope you can also write it down in the email, right, so that people know how to spell my name, or you can see it actually down there. So it's alexandradeubner.com. You can find more about me there. I also have, a free habit planner there. But the first thing is really the summit, the trueyoushow.com. I really invite you to come and join us, join me, join Heidi, and several other amazing speakers. And get inspired. Yeah.
Yes. And all the links to Alex and the summit are in the show notes. So you can visit us on S.H.E.podcast.com, and all of the show notes for this episode are there with all of Alex's links. So make sure you join us on the summit. I want to see you there. I can't wait to see you there. Before we wrap up, Alex, I love for everyone to get to know you more on a personal note, not just, the business side of things. So can you share a fun fact or something different about you?
A fun fact, so it's probably not with, we talked about it before, I'm not sure how fun that is, but as I said in the beginning, right, I love to help others. So a fun fact or a fact about me is that I used to volunteer for many, many years, first in a homeless shelter, but then for many years in a hospice. So I'm also a grief and if you want, death counselor. So I help people who are actually dying.
Wow.
Because, and also the people who were left behind, because what is really ingrained in my heart is not to leave anyone alone. So this is something where I'm really passionate about, no matter if it's, and grief and death is very often a taboo, right, in our society still, unfortunately, but it's part of life. And so not leaving people behind was really powerful, a very powerful experience for me for many years to support people. I was honored to be part of this transition and to be there for others. And there were so many learnings in that when you actually become aware that, you know, how precious life is, right? And people usually only regret the things they didn't do. So that's, again, right, how inspirational is that to really not wait to live your life when you are retired or whatever, you know, start today, because who knows, right? My grandfather died the day before his retirement. Yeah. So it's really about carpe diem, seize the day, go for it now, and also being humble, right? Because what is really important, it's our health, it's our loved ones. Yeah. That's really narrowing it down to that. Has been really a game changer for me. And I remember that on a daily basis. So that's also what drives me at times. And I think we get to all grow together much more and support each other, and also not be afraid to ask for support, because there's so many people out there, me included, right? I had difficulties asking for support, but what I also learned, and that was really a game changer for me, is that yes, it might be hard to ask for support because we don't want to look weak or stupid or whatever. But the cool thing is actually it's also a gift for the others to be able to support us. And that might make it easier for you too. Next time you would love support, you know that the others are actually often feeling honored that they can support you, because we can grow together. And so I don't know if that's a fun fact, but it was something that I really wanted to share.
No, it's beautiful that you do that. And you brought up some really key points. And I heard about this, what was it that they did? Like this, not a survey, but this experiment. And somebody interviewed all these people, like at the end of their life, and their biggest regret they had was not going for their dreams. The biggest regret was not taking the risk that they wanted to take. And you know, Les Brown will say that in the graveyard's the richest place in the world, because there's all the dreams that never came to fruition are died with that person. So they'll never be brought to life. And God, we just don't know what we could have from them if they just took that risk and you know, went for it in their life. So thank you for sharing that, because that's super powerful. And so if you're one of those people that are listening and you have an idea, you have something you want to share with the world, you have a gift that you're holding back on, please know that you're safe to be seen, heard, and we are empowering you to do so. Reach out to Alex. She's a rock star, and she will help push you through any limiting beliefs you have. So reach out to her, sign up for the summit. Each person on this summit, each of the experts coming in are giving you a free gift with their interview. So you're going to get over 20 free gifts by signing up for free. It's free. So why not, right? Like, just dive in and connect with all the experts on the summit. They're going to give you their information, just to reach out to them, to meet them, to connect with them. Make sure you're connecting and reaching out with Alex. It's going to be a really powerful 3 weeks. So you do not want to miss this. So yes. Thank you so much, Alex. I swear I could keep going on with talking with you. But I want to respect your time, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful for you too. And it was my honor. And thank you for doing this amazing podcast and for making a difference in this world.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for joining us today on the S.H.E podcast. And I will see you on the next episode.